Hello, this is Dr. Scott Harrington coming to you live from my doctor's office at veganprimarycare.com, where you can see a vegan doctor as your primary care doctor from the comfort of your own home from most U.S. states. Even if you live in Florida, I'm also open to in-person visits at Pinellas Park on Fridays. Come see me not just as a one-time consultation, but as your primary care doctor, someone who gets to know you and someone who can be your health advocate. Because I'm licensed in most US states, even if you move, you don't have to change doctors. If you're a vegan, then get a doctor who gets you. If you haven't adopted a plant-based diet yet, you are still welcome to be my patient. But beware, a healthy vegan diet, exercise, and lifestyle changes will always be my first recommendation. My goal is to help you take control of your health. And through the power of a healthy lifestyle, we'll work to heal your chronic conditions and help you get off chronic medications. For my patients who cut out animal products, you'll not only be helping yourself feel better, but you will also you'll be doing your part to help stop animal suffering and to decrease your impact on the environment. Let's do this. Remember that this content is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This video is not intended to take place of your own doctor's advice. Okay, we're streaming on multiple platforms and ready to take your questions. All right, we've got 5 folks from the Facebook who are in the house. Hello, how are you doing? Text me a little message in the chat. All right, Janice. Janice says hello. Hi, Janice. All right. Well, lots of things going on. Obviously, even the last several weeks when we've been talking about this, the coronavirus is just, the numbers are increasing. I recommend the same recommendation: social distancing, wearing masks, getting vaccinated if you haven't gotten vaccinated. CDC is recommending a booster for folks who are immunocompromised. And soon we'll have recommendations regarding the booster shot 8 months after the last shot, if you have the Pfizer or Moderna, and they're still waiting on recommendations for the J&J shot. But definitely recommend these. Please let me know if you have any questions. All right, we've got Miyoshi Hicks says that she's down 5 pounds since the last visit. That is great, great, great. Thank you, Miyoshi. Thanks for letting me know and letting others know. That is awesome. Okay, Karen. Karen asked a question. Does vitamin D contain fish oil? Okay, so one of the problems about a plant-based, when a vegan-centered supplements and that sort of thing, is that you have to be cautious. You have to be cautious because lots of supplements and medicines can contain animal products. And one of those is vitamin D, vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is made from a lanolin product that comes from sheep's wool, believe it or not. I was grossed out when I heard about that. But you can purchase a vegan vitamin D, which contains lichen, a fungal-based vitamin D. There's 3 brands that are kind of prominent. I think one of them is called Now, and there's My Organics, My Kind Organics. There's a couple of versions on Amazon. Okay, thank you, Karen. Good question. Okay, yes. Okay, Mike says, thanks for recommending vaccines. It is sad to say that some folks not recommending it. I definitely recommend. I've been in the military. I'm still in the military, and we've been poked with and jabbed with every vaccine under the sun, including ones that they stopped using, like smallpox. So I've got that smallpox shot now. In case smallpox becomes weaponized. So I'm definitely pro-vaccine. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you're thinking about whether you should get a vaccine or not, consider this. Consider the idea that I'm going to get the virus or the vaccine. But I think don't even think of it like that. Just consider that you're going to get the virus, and you're going to get the virus. And so you want to have your immune system already ready with guns blazing when the virus comes, because we are learning that even vaccinated people are contracting the virus, but the severity of the illness goes way down, way down. And it is sad to say that even some folks are having severe symptoms, and there have been some deaths associated with people who have been vaccinated, but that is a very small number. So overall, it's going to provide much more protection, and so it's your best shot. It's your best shot, along with being eating a vegan and plant-based diet. It decreases the severity scores that you have. But I will say, I want my vegan folks out there who are listening, that we are not immune to the coronavirus. The rates of contracting the coronavirus, whether you're plant-based or whether you're omnivore, doesn't change. People are still coming down with it at the same rate. It's the severity that is the difference. And there's a study out there suggesting 73% less severity symptoms on a population basis. But that doesn't mean that you're not one of the other 30% who had severe symptoms. So thanks for some folks who put out some of the questions early. I want to go ahead and address the question that was brought up recently, something called the ileal break. The ileal break. So in the small intestines, duodenum, jejunum, and ileum, the terminal ileum, the last part of the small intestines, has this function of producing hormones that suppress your appetite, the ileal break. So this is something that it just kind of blew my mind, and it makes sense. But when you eat food and food is traveling down your very, very long small intestines, whether something like 5 times the length of your body height or something like that, but it's very long. And as you get towards the end, if you've eaten foods that are highly processed and really finely ground, like in flours and things that are very highly absorbable, by the time it makes to the terminal ileum, the end of the line, there's not a lot of nutrients in bulk that can stimulate this ileal break. But if you've eaten foods that are very high in soluble and insoluble fibers, there's going to be more bulk is going to make it to the colon, make it out to the end of the small intestines. More nutrients may not actually be absorbed in its transit through the small intestine and actually make it to the colon. So these extra nutrients and extra fibers that make it to the end of the small intestines trigger the hormones called the ileal break. And what this does is it makes you feel full. It makes you feel full. So there's a scenario if you're eating foods that's very highly processed that get fully absorbed, by the time they make it down to the small intestine and leave very little for the colon, the body says, well, hey, there's not much food left here. We're hungry. Let's be hungry, and let's not put out these fullness hormones. So that was very interesting to me. And it's almost like you're only as full as your intestines. It's kind of a weird way to think about it, instead of thinking about how full your stomach is. The ileal break. Ileal break. So I find it when I do not eat a high fiber breakfast, like say I have a bagel instead of my normal oatmeal. I normally have oatmeal with flax and berries. If I have a bagel, I end up being much hungrier throughout the day. Even after I've had my second meal, I'm feeling more hungry. So having a high fiber diet that's high in insoluble fibers and soluble fibers, like grains or beans, is going to keep you full and having you eat less calories overall. It's proven. Okay. We've got Leah. Leah Noblet says, is there any truth to female fertility be adversely affected by consuming soy? My fertility clinic advised me to stop eating soy. When maybe when you mentioned it to him. Okay, Leah, there is no truth to that. There is no truth to that. There is some very interesting information about soy and the health promoting benefits. And this is through the soy isoflavones. The soy isoflavones. This is what I call opposite day. It's opposite day, where you have doctors saying, hey, don't eat soy, it's bad for you, it's the estrogen compounds or whatever, and it's like opposite day, where they should really be telling you, hey, eat plenty of soy because of the healthy phytoestrogens and isoflavones. Opposite day. So members of my family who had breast cancer were told to eat more milk and don't eat soy. It's opposite day. They should have been telling them, hey, make sure you're eating a diet high in soy products and decreasing animal products, dairy, that actually contains estrogen. Dairy contains estrogen. It comes from cows that have estrogen, and it makes it into the milk. It stimulates breast cancer. Whereas the isoflavones in soy, mixed with a diet high in carbs that have a microbiome, will change the isoflavones to chemicals and phytoestrogens that can sit on the receptors in the breast and block additional estrogen, block the estrogen, kind of like estrogen being a fertilizer for breast cancer. But it also has positive effects like decreasing hot flashes and these isoflavones and having a healthy microbiome. Some patients, if they don't have a healthy microbiome, they're not going to get the benefit from the isoflavones, because you have to have the microbiome that is used to digesting carbohydrates that can transform these isoflavones. That's something that I just heard recently from Dr. Barnard, who's done studies on this with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. And one point is that you can get the isoflavones from many sources, such as soy milk, tempeh, tofu, edamame. Turns out the edamame are more younger or junior soybeans, and that the highest isoflavones come from the more adult or fully grown soybeans, and you can cook them in your pressure cooker and that sort of thing, similar to other beans. All right. Aha. Leah was saying when you mentioned you were vegan, they were like, watch out for soy. Yep, opposite day. Okay. Taylor Marshall says hi. Hi, Taylor. Thanks for being here today. Okay. Kristen Carey Ogilvie. Hello, the Ogilvies. It's nice to see you guys. Hang in there. Good to see you. Thanks for coming out today. My brother's cardiologist told him not to eat garlic. Always thought garlic was good for our hearts. So I haven't heard information or evidence suggests that garlic was harmful for your heart. I do know that allium vegetables like garlic and onions and that sort of thing can be beneficial for the immune system, stimulating the immune system. And they've done studies that show that garlic helps people lose weight, and which is kind of blows my mind. It's like every time they look at one of these plants studies, they find some new benefit from the plant. But honestly, I don't know the mechanism with why the garlic would do that. And so certainly I don't know of any harmful mechanism with the garlic. Now, sometimes people are taking medicines that are affected by the plants. And the classic is Coumadin. If you're taking a medicine, Coumadin, that thins your blood, let's say you have a heart valve that causes clotting, or you have atrial fibrillation that causes areas of blood pooling around the heart and then potential clotting, you have to thin the blood. And so a lot of medicines can react with the way your body metabolizes Coumadin. And so this is something that can be very dangerous, because if your body can't metabolize it, all of a sudden you're taking too much Coumadin and your blood gets too thin, and you can have a brain bleed, or you can get it cut and have problems with bleeding. I'm sorry. So if you metabolize it too little, it will build up. But if you metabolize the medicine too much, let's say the garlic for some reason causes the liver to rev up enzymes that make it so that you can't metabolize the medicine too much, then there won't be enough clotting medicine and you could throw a clot. So sometimes things like, especially with coumadin, they talk about different cruciferous vegetables with coumadin, and maybe garlic's on the list. I'm not sure. So that might be a reason why in regards to garlic. Okay, thanks, Karen. Thank you. All right, here we go. Leah says, how about a vegan diet and thyroid disorder? Is there any link or any vegan foods that are supportive for hypothyroidism? Okay, thanks, Leah. Well, I mean, some of the kind of debate about diet and hypothyroidism is, one, we're talking about iodine, and two, we're talking about some sort of concern that cruciferous vegetables can affect the thyroid. And I think this is more about the cruciferous vegetables affecting is more theoretical, is more theory than actual practice. So when people eat cruciferous vegetables in a diet high in this cruciferous, you have high sulforaphane and compounds that are very health promoting. So you're going to get way more benefit from that in terms of any type of thyroid suppression. And thyroid is something that can be checked. What's interesting is that folks, does seem to be an association with people being overweight and having problems with thyroid, or people being on unhealthy diets and having problems with the thyroid. You wonder if there's autoimmune reactions to the thyroid and causing problems. But the number one issue with thyroid is iodine. Iodine is the elemental molecule, the element that's at the basis of the large thyroid hormone molecule. And just like iron and hemoglobin, iodine is with the thyroid hormone. So our diets tend to be deficient in iodine. And so badly that on population basis, they've put iodine in the food with the salt, and the Morton's salt with the lady with the umbrella and all that. Yes. So, and then lately, Himalayan salt and sea salt has not been supplemented with iodine. So if you get a salt that is sort of a fancy salt, you got to make sure that it does have iodine. If you're deficient in iodine, 150 micrograms daily is what you need. You can start to have problems with the thyroid. You can have enlargement of the thyroid. So that was the issue behind giving iodine in the salt, so that you could prevent goiters in your population. So 2 pinches of iodized salt is 150 micrograms of iodine. Where do you get iodine otherwise? You get it from sea vegetables. And so if you eat vegan sushi, you get the green nori wraps on the sushi, or a seaweed salad, or dulse, the seaweed inside a miso soup. This contains iodine. If you're allergic or you don't like this, you can always supplement with iodine drops, or making sure your multivitamin has iodine in it, 150 micrograms. Now, warning, kelp. Kelp contains so much iodine that you can't eat kelp, kind of whole kelp and that sort of thing. You have to use kelp only as a sprinkle, because it's so strong, so high in iodine, that it can cause an overreaction of your thyroid. And so you want to keep your iodine to a max of 500 micrograms or less per day. All right. Thank you, Leah. Okay, Cindy says hello. Hi, Cindy. All right. Okay, so we have Helen. Helen says, how about a plant-based diet and exercise for weight loss in postmenopausal women? Much harder to lose after 50. All right. Okay, Helen. Yes, well, my primary recommendation for weight loss starts with diet. Diet, you can never outrun your mouth. Diet is the most important. I recommend a plant-based diet, a whole food plant-based diet, low in salt, oil, and sugar. And if you're trying to lose weight and trying to eliminate it all, salt, oil, and sugar altogether, along with a unprocessed diet, a whole food diet, is going to really do the trick. That's going to trick. Now, exercise is helpful for lots of reasons, but I like to have my patients focus on exercise for vitality and what they can do in preventing injury, and mostly, honestly, for mental health. When you do exercise, stress melts away, you get into the present, and it's hard to be depressed or anxious about things when you have exercised and being outside in nature. So yes, diet, yes, exercise, yes, absolutely. The question about, is it hard to lose weight in menopause or after menopause? And the answer is that recent studies have put out about metabolism. And I found this very interesting because we assume that our metabolism kind of gets worse every year. Oh, you're 40. Oh, you're not going to be able to lose weight like you were when you were 30 or something like that. Turns out that your metabolism or metabolic rate stays very similar all through from your 20s all through up into about your 60s when you start to get a steady decrease in metabolic rate. So things might happen slower, healing may happen slower, weight loss and stuff like that. But the body's housekeeping sort of procedures are more slow, especially after 60. So, but that shouldn't stop anyone from wanting to do a healthy diet. It's never too late. People in their 80s can change their diet and lose weight and feel better, have less constipation, more energy, less problems with their diabetes, prevention of angina, which is when your arteries are really clogged, causing chest pain when you move around, and opening up your arteries, less erectile dysfunction, the vascular clogging that happens from diet high in fat and cholesterol can start to resolve over time, even when you're 80. Okay. Thanks for that question, Helen. Okay, Vanessa says, you know what? I miss the stuff about vaccines. What's your take on it? And then any advice about migraines? Okay, the bottom line about the vaccine, if you don't have it, get it, because you're getting the virus. It's knocking on the door. It's all around us. And if you haven't had the virus, it's coming. And so Delta variant or else you want to get the vaccine that you're able to get it. I'm a big pro-vaccine person because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your country. Our hospitals are loaded with patients right now. This is the party line. You've heard this before. And so, I won't kind of hit that anymore, but don't be scared. Don't be scared. Be more scared of the virus, I guess you could say. Okay, it's coming. We're all going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get COVID, and I'm not looking forward to it, and I'm vaccinated. And so I know that my body's ready. If I make it to 8 months and not get coronavirus, I'm going to have a booster. I'm going to booster out 8 months from my last shot. So that's what I'm hoping for. I hope I get a booster before I get it. Okay. Vanessa asks also, what about migraines? There are some kind of specific medicines for migraines with plants, and that is a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger powder in hot water. This has been studied and has been studied to be equivalent to kind of the older standard migraine medicines, Imitrex and the triptans, sumatriptan. So first line would be something like that. Second line would be NSAIDs like ibuprofen, and then triptan medications, also including the oldie but goodie caffeine. Caffeine can decrease migraines. So one of the things that I found in my patients is when they go plant-based, by decreasing, if you're really focused on heavy protein or fat diets, these are inflammatory and sometimes can cause migraines. Sometimes people will have hypoglycemic episodes actually when they go plant-based and they're not eating enough carbs, and that can cause you to have a migraine. So the cool thing about the plant-based diet and vegan diet is that carbs can be the basis of your meals. Grains and beans and this kind of thing, corn and rice and even breads, especially whole grain breads and pasta. this is the basis of your meals. You eat your greens as your medicine, and your fruit is the ambrosia. The fruit is the dessert. So it's so palatable, it's so satisfying, and it's so doable. You can stay on this diet. It's not like some keto diet where you can do it for a certain amount of time, then you have to stop. No, this diet is just easily adoptable permanently. And so that's the benefit of it. Great question, Vanessa. Okay. Mel James says, after some work with a GI specialist, we've decided a low FODMAP diet is the way to go. Feeling great, but I'm struggling with good vegan protein choices. Any suggestions? So the FODMAP diet causes a little controversy. And the reason why I don't think this is, a bad approach, because you're testing things. You're testing things, and you can find out if something really causes a lot of GI disturbance, a lot of pain and agony. And so, but to sort of check all these things off your list and creating a restrictive diet can be problematic, because then you're left kind of thinking, my gosh, what can I eat? What can I eat? Rice and greens, or like before I was vegan, it was I would always say, oh, rice and chicken, that's all I got. Oh man. But so it is kind of a little bit troublesome, this getting where you're not allowed to eat any of these very health promoting foods like cruciferous, that sort of thing. So I will tell people that there is a spectrum. Raw cruciferous is going to cause, and the more bulky and fibrous and like the outside of the broccoli stems and everything, the more of that you have when you eat it, it's going to be more gas producing and more, you're going to feel it more in your gut. If it's cooked and any of the really strong fibrous stuff, husks, are peeled off and it's cooked, that is going to be less. Then you can take it and you can cook it. This was steamed, or you could really, cook it down and cut it into small bits. That's going to be much, much less. That's going to be easier on your stomach. And then there's this pureed type of form, or blended, or in a smoothie or something like that, that's cooked. And that's going to be even less problematic. So I tell people, don't check all these things off your list. Kind of get a little bit more granular and decide, well, if I cook these foods, do I have the same response? And oftentimes you can get away with them if they're cooked. So that's what I recommend, Mel. Don't focus so much on protein. Make sure you're getting your carbs so that you're satisfied. Greens on the side and fruit for dessert. You don't have to worry too much about protein after you're already grown. You're not doubling in size, this sort of thing. You can get as low as 6% of your calories from protein and still be fine. So, okay, here I go. Helen says, thank you. You are welcome. You're welcome, Helen. Thank you for being here. Okay. Hello, it's Richard Hubbard. Hey, Richard. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. Okay. Are coconut products okay for my 12-month-old? Things such as coconut yogurt or milk. I usually stay away from it because of saturated fat, but how is it for children? All right, Teresa. The good news, the way I the answer is yes. The answer is yes. When you look up different milks like coconut milk and almond milk and soy milk and rice milk, the soy milk, the organic soy milk, tends to be the most macros similar to breast milk. And so we sort of recommend the organic unsweetened soy milk as the gold standard by which to rate other milks for kids that are plant-based. So you may want to try that. But in terms of fat, and this question about fat in children comes up, and calories in children. So it's hard to get kids to eat. Their stomachs are smaller and they're not as adults, we eat for lots of reasons, emotional reasons, and because it's time. Kids will oftentimes, not have those same food triggers, and they rely on us a lot. So it is important to give the children a high caloric, dense diet, along with fibrous foods and fruits and vegetables, obviously. But you don't have to worry so much if you're getting these whole foods and this sort of thing, the easiest way to make sure your 12-month-old is getting enough calories is to include servings of organic soy milk, because it's easier to drink your calories. It's kind of opposite what you tell adults who are trying to lose weight. For adults who are trying to lose weight, you're like, don't drink your calories. You can do it too fast and overdo it. Don't make a bunch of smoothies, and avoid foods that are really high in fat, like nuts and avocados and obviously animal products and oils. These are things you want to avoid. But with kids who are growing, you're not so worried about that. You're kind of worried more that they're getting enough calories and nutrients. So that is kind of my take on that. It's totally safe to use as coconut products and soy products, but I recommend soy over the coconut. All right, Teresa, thanks for the question. And Vanessa says, thank you. All right. Okay. Teresa says, what resources can I give my pediatrician or any doctor to help them understand the evidence-based benefits of a plant-based diet? Well, there's lots of benefits. There's lots of resources. Gosh, where do you start? The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine have great handouts and stuff for doctors. I think that's a good point. Maybe it's something that I need to do some more links to on my site. Dr. Jackie Busey is a pediatrician who's plant-based. And so she has a site. I think it's called like Plant-Based Kids or something like that. But Dr. Jackie Busey, she has great resources. And that's where I got the thing about the plant-based milks. So that's something, Teresa, that you can look up and start there. The most educational resource is nutritionfacts.org, put out by Dr. Michael Greger. Thousands of videos on any topic that's related to plant-based health and medical topics like prostate health and breast cancer. You can type them both in at nutritionfacts.org or on their YouTube and find out the evidence, all the scientific evidence about each topic. Good question, Teresa. Okay, Helen, what's your take on apple cider vinegar for acid reflux? Okay, I know a lot of people do this. Honestly, I find that the apple cider vinegar thing is better for weight loss. It's proven to increase your burn, like your calorie burn, through cyclic AMP activation. So normally the body uses some calories to help with your heat and maintaining your temperature. You can increase this a little bit of calories used for this with vinegar. So including vinegar in your salad dressings and that sort of thing. So just drinking vinegar, I find it kind of I haven't adopted that. But I know a lot of people do it. And a lot of people are doing it for heartburn. And I honestly don't know the mechanism with why an acidic food would make you have less heartburn. I honestly don't know this. It may have an effect on the hormonal output of the stomach, because the stomach does have peptides and hormones that it excretes to send signals about fullness and other hormones for digestion, for acid production. So maybe it has an effect on that. I'm not sure. I have to look that up. But I will say that if you're interested in decreasing heartburn, the number one thing, there's two things. You have to eat smaller meals and you have to decrease your fat. Last week, I gave a little analogy of the stomach being like a baker with a baker's bag full of icing, squirting things out into the intestines slowly but surely. That's its stomach's job, is to do it, is to subject the intestines to a small dose of food so that they can be digested most efficiently. It's like a gatekeeper. And so if you eat a very large meal, it's going to stay in your stomach longer, and you have more sloshing up into the esophagus and acid into the esophagus. The more fat that's in the stomach, your body's going, as it gets into the intestines, the fat in the beginning of the intestines makes your body produce cholecystokinin. That relaxes the sphincter up here and causes more reflux into the esophagus, and it causes the gallbladder to squirt down. So this hormone is used to help squeeze out bile so your body can absorb the fats, but it also relaxes the sphincter and causes heartburn. So smaller meals, and they have to be low in fat, and you can help resolve your heartburn. So at night, if you eat right before bed and you lay flat, you're going to have acid that goes up into the esophageal sphincter, or past the esophageal sphincter into the esophagus, and cause heartburn too. So those are 3 steps. And I honestly am not sure the mechanism behind the vinegar and heartburn reduction. Okay. Good question. Good question. All right. Mel says he loves the smoothie idea. Thank you. Thank you, Mel. That is tough with the FODMAP stuff, but creating those different levels of roughage basically in the stomach can help. You can wind it down and get it to be a little bit more pre-digested, cooked and ground. You're going to have a less effect in the gut. Okay. All right. Cindy says, hey, a great resource for other doctors is Eat to Live by Dr. Furman. Okay, we've got Eat to Live right here. Yes, this is a great resource. It has lots of advice, medical advice, and it stands the test of time. He wrote it many years ago, and he's updated it. Dr. Furman has, and in the back it has lots of recipes that are plant-based, low oil or no oil, and things like no oil dressings, which very, very important, because he says the salad is the main meal. If you're trying to lose weight and trying to be healthy, include a salad every day for lunch. And you don't want to ruin it with a real fatty, high caloric dressing. You want to have a low fat, no oil dressing. All right. Great advice, Cindy. Okay. Questions are burning in today. Burning in. I love it. Okay, if you haven't done right now, go ahead and smash the like buttons. Go ahead and smash the like. And if you're on, let's see, do we have any? If you happen to be on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe. All right. Okay, we've got Veronica. Veronica says that she's 56. She works out every day. Should I drink protein shakes in order to be leaner? Most vegan protein powders are not whole grain. The one that is whole grain doesn't have a good taste. Okay, Veronica, great question. The answer is no. No, don't do protein shakes. Consider protein shakes as calorie shakes, extra calories. And if you don't need any extra calories, don't eat these protein shakes. So when we're an infant, I love this infant story. You get 6% of your intake from protein, calories from protein with breast milk, and you're doubling in size. But after you're already built, you don't need to have this high amount of protein that we're currently eating, 20, 30, 40% of our calories from protein. This is an excess of protein. And when you eat a whole food plant-based diet, people tend to get around 80% of their calories from carbs and 10% from protein and 10% from fats. Just kind of evens out about like that. Certainly it could be a little bit here or there. And that's fine. That's fine. And that's all you need. Otherwise, that extra protein can lead to problems with your kidneys and just extra calories that you don't need. So definitely, if you're trying to lose weight, whole food, plant-based, low in oil, salt, and sugar, and the weight starts to fall off. Okay. All right, Leah Noblet has a question. What about bromelain? I'm currently in 2 weeks to find out if I'm pregnant, and I was advised to eat pineapple core to assist with implantation. Is there any truth to that? Leah, I have not seen the evidence with pineapple and implantation. And so I don't want to say yes or no, because I would just be guessing. Implantation is hard because one of the hardest things is that we start to internalize, and we start to feel like you've done something wrong. You've done something wrong. And it's that is something other than having like intercourse or going through fertility treatments to cause implantation to occur. Other than that, it's hard to affect what's happening on the microscopic scale there. I recommend, of course, a plant-based diet. I'm assuming that would help, but there are population studies that suggest that people who have on a plant-based diet have less problems with fertility. But I don't have direct evidence in the situation that you mentioned. And same thing with bromelain. I'm not really up on that. I'm so sorry. But good luck. I hope everything works out, and I'll be crossing my fingers for you. Okay, Mike. I've been on a plant-based diet for 5 years and noticed that since that time, I feel real energy drop around noon to 2. Anything besides suggestions besides taking a nap? Okay. Mike, there is this is a good question. Gosh, we all have this the siesta time where our body just wants to take a nap. And, the circadian rhythms do indicate that we will have an energy lull midday, and then we kind of get our energy back a little bit later on. And this is seen with the typical circadian rhythms. There's also another circadian rhythms that most people don't talk about, is sort of a dip in the middle of the night where people will experience a little wakefulness after their first solid sleep for several hours. And so I kind of recommend that, just kind of going with it. I recommend don't fight it. Don't fight it if you can. If you can, take a nap and take a nap and fight it. I know some people say, oh, don't nap during the day because it'll mess up your sleep at night. I'm not a proponent of that. Caffeine is the most problematic thing in terms of having problems with insomnia. So if you do have a problem with being real sleepy, especially related to food, you're going to want to try to eat a very low-fat meal, eat a diet that's eat a meal that's higher in vegetable roughage and lower in high glycemic foods. Like sugars and processed carbs and those kind of things, because you can have an insulin spike and kind of feel a little sleepy. But yeah, so things like beans and greens are really low glycemic, and they just stick with you and kind of give like slow and steady energy, and they don't hit you like a ton of bricks. So that might be some advice there. So if you can, take a nap, but otherwise eat a clean lunch. That way you can maintain your energy throughout the day. Okay, Mike, thank you. Teresa says, are you practicing in New Jersey? Okay. Well, I am New Jersey. I don't have a permanent medical license in New Jersey. I'm just looking it up right now in terms of the temporary licenses, because I start to forget we've got so many. No, I don't. So no current license in New Jersey, Teresa. I'm so sorry. Okay. Where are we at? All right. Okay, Jim says, I'm retired military. Can I make you my primary care physician? If you have TRICARE East, you can have me as your primary care physician. I would love to, Jim. I look forward to it. Okay, what's my recommendation, Helen, on B12 supplements? Okay, being on a vegan diet, you got to have B12. It comes from the soil and bacteria, and you're not going to get it. I tend to say make sure you get your vitamins and minerals from your food. Don't be spending $1 million on this supplement, that supplement, this supplement, and that supplement when we can get it all from our food. Eat a variety diet. But if you are eating a vegan diet, you're not getting B12. So get it from a supplement. The RDA is like 2.6 or 3 or 4 micrograms of B12. And you'd think, gosh, with such a low dose, maybe I just get it from nutritional yeast or some place like that. But this one is not one you want to play with. You want to go ahead and take a supplement. Dr. Barnard, he recommends a 100 microgram dose. Dr. Greger recommends a 50 microgram dose. And I recommend the 500 microgram dose. But why so high? Well, the absorption is the problem. If you're not taking it on an empty stomach, the B12 might not absorb. And then as you get older, you need more and more, or you have less and less absorption. So that's why you're taking like 10, 20, 100 times the dose. So don't play around with this one. Like me, I was cavalier. I said, I'm going to try to get this from food. Found out my B12 was low. Once you have low B12, it can cause problems with your blood and your nerves, and sometimes they can be permanent. So don't play around. Don't play around. Just get a simple supplement. It's cheap and totally doable. Great question, Helen. All right, guys. Yes, it is better to take B12 on an empty stomach. I've gone way over my time and I got to get ready for my patients. But thank you, everybody, for your participation. If you haven't already, hit like. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe. And we will see you next time. Same time, same place. Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern Standard. Go vegan. Take care, everyone.